Today we're making giant Christmas lights that'll look perfect in your indoor or outdoor Christmas decorations. These giant Christmas lights measure 24 feet long, and all the materials and items I used are shown in the video and linked in the description below. So join me for this awesome Christmas tutorial. Today's tutorial was inspired by the creator called Carolina Rincon. Now, she created her version of giant Christmas lights, which look absolutely amazing. So I'm going to try to do a tutorial on her creation. To begin making our giant Christmas lights, we need soda bottles. Now, we need 12 of these bottles, and I went to the store and got the most inexpensive one. Just get the cheapest bottles you can find. They need to be 2 liter and they need to be clear. They can't have any type of painting or writing on them, and they need to have this plastic that's easily removable. We're going to dump this all out, or you could drink it, whichever you prefer, and then we're going to paint them from the inside. But after you dump them out, wash them, rinse them out real quick, and then allow them to dry, and then we're going to paint them, like I said. So let's get started with this awesome Christmas tutorial. Next, we need these hanging LED lights. Now, these are 24 feet long, and they come with Edison style bulbs, and just like this, they hang just like that. You need to get the one that has 12 of these. I'm linking everything that I use in the description of this video. Just hit more. So once we get this, remove these tags and let's keep going. I wanted to take a quick moment to mention the first book I've written. It's called Little Olive and the Wally Bat, and it's available on Amazon via paperback or Kindle. It's rated for kids ages 2 to 6 years old, and it follows a brave little olive that gets lost and is found by a very helpful brown bat. If anyone wants to support me or read it to their little ones, go check it out. Little Olive and the Wally Bat on Amazon. Now let's get back to this amazing tutorial. Once you've emptied your bottles and removed your label, make sure to clean the outside with some soap and water, and then we can start the next process, which is we need to cut holes into this. So before we paint it, let's cut a hole onto the bottom. And the bottom hole just needs to be the same size as whatever light bulb you're putting through. We're using LED candelabra light bulbs, we could use Edison bulbs. Whatever you're doing, make sure the hole is big enough to fit that bulb through. So we're going to be using a hot knife for this. Now, listen, you need to invest in a good hot knife because a regular $10, $15 hot knife is not going to cut it. So I'm going to link the hot knife that I use. It's very powerful, costs a little bit, but it's good to invest in a good hot knife because it has so many uses, and you'll thank me later when you have a good hot knife. So cut the hole with the hot knife and then cut the neck. You can also use the hot knife because we just need to cut this neck off right over here, and we'll use the hot knife for that. Please be warned that a lot of fumes and gases will be produced while you're cutting it with the hot knife. You need to be outside. Don't do this inside at all. And if you have a respirator, use it. If you don't have a respirator, do it outside, but get yourself a fan, a box fan or something, so it can blow away from you, so it can help get rid of those toxic fumes and gases, because you don't want to breathe this in. So once you're done with the hole and once you're done cutting off the neck, then it's time to paint it. And when I tell you that painting this was the most stressful part of this entire project, I'm not kidding. In the original video that the creator made, she used some type of ink or stain that stained the entire thing a beautiful shade of whatever color she was using. But I tried latex, acrylic, color ink, food coloring, clothing dye. I tried so many things and I could not replicate what she did. I think that whatever she used is not readily available in the United States because I couldn't find anything. Several people in her original video were saying it looks like she used a stained glass type of paint, but that didn't work on this either. So I'm just going to use spray paint. We're done. I tried and tried. We're going to use spray paint. When you're spray painting it, make sure you do it lightly and evenly. You need to do it because any imperfection is going to shine through once you put the light bulb on the inside. A lot of people were worried about the heat generated by the light bulb. It's an LED bulb. It's not going to melt this. It's not a fire hazard. If you're using incandescent bulb, do not do it because that will produce too much heat. But the bulbs we're using, either Edison or candelabra bulbs, They're LED, they'll produce minimal heat, it'll be fine. Since it has 2 openings, the heat will get out, it won't melt it, we'll be fine. But once we're done with that, then we can move on. But do not paint these before opening the hole in the bottom and cutting off the neck. Got it? Cool. All right, so this is very important over here. We have our hot knife right over here, and we can't just go in there and start turning it and cutting it. It's gonna create a lot of smoke and a lot of heat on the inside, which will cause it to start deforming. So what we need to do, I'm not gonna turn it on because I don't have my mask on right now, but we need to go in there, go through, go in here, go through, go in here. We're gonna use these 5 points, and then we're gonna go in between the 5 points, bam, bam. Cut it out in sections. We don't want this to get too hot. We don't want it to get deformed. And then once we're done with that, we're gonna gently go like this, and then we're gonna turn it like this and turn it. And turn it until we've cut it off completely. So I'm gonna show you now, but I'm not gonna be talking because I'm gonna have my respirator on. And see, now we have the nice hole right over here, and we've taken off over here this top portion, and we didn't melt it. Had we tried to cut it down like this with the hot knife, we would have started to melt the entire end, and that's not good. So we're using different color spray paints. Here's our bottle, we've made the hole, we've cut off the neck, and gently, and outside, you want to start spraying it. Make sure it's light. You don't want to add too much spray paint to it. It's very nice and even. Just like that. Don't get any on the inside because it only is the outside that needs to be painted. Just like this. A light color, nothing too much, and we'll set it down so we can finish off the top. And then we'll let it dry. For the Christmas lights base, we are using this 16-ounce cup in this size. I've linked them in the description below, and we need to cut a hole right in here with our hot knife. And the hole needs to be as big as the bulb, whatever style bulb you're using, to go through. So I'm using these long bulbs right over here, and we'll cut it just to fit this and the base that will be attached to it. So whatever bulb you do, make sure the size is big enough to fit it. We're going to be using this gloss green spray paint from Rust-Oleum, and we'll do 1 coat on the outside, let it dry, and then we'll do a 2nd coat once it has completely dried, and then we're done with these base. All right, so our cup has dried, and now we need to do a hole right here on the bottom where the bulb and the base will go through. So whatever bulb you use, make sure you make the hole just a little bit bigger than that one. We have this hot knife. This is a small hot knife used for carving things like foam pumpkins. I love doing this with foam pumpkins. And this one will go right through this thin plastic. And then we'll cut it out like this. There we go, and now we have our hole. And for this hot knife, it comes with different attachments, but we're using the blade that looks like an X-Acto knife. We'll attach that to it, and it'll cut through this thin plastic, super simple. It just won't cut through thicker plastic like you find at the bottom of a 2-liter Coke bottle. So to make our plug, we need this birchwood square. They're 2 feet by 2 feet, and it's just the right size. We need a waste bin. This one is a 7-gallon waste bin. And what I'm gonna do is we need to cut out a piece that's gonna go on the inside, but it's not gonna go flush on top. It's gonna go about 2 inches on the inside. So how do we get that measurement? Well, what I did is I put this right here and lined it up with the edge on one side, lined it up with the edge on the other side, just like this. And then we'll get our pencil. Then we'll outline it like this. I've already done one outline, but this will make it flush. So now we need to get the inside measurements. And what I've done is I'd measure the inside about 2 inches down, measure this way, and then measure from this to that way. Then take those measurements and put them down here. Bam. And now we can use this to redraw the new measurement using both sides. For this particular waste bin, we have the inside measurements at 9 1/4, which we've made a mark from here because this is 9 1/4, and 13 1/2. We made a mark from the edge to right over here. So we have 2 marks right over here. So let's get the bucket and use it as a measuring guide for us. Make sure we get it, okay. So now we have the inside measurement, which we need to do a nice curve right over here, and then a nice curve over here. Of course, you could just get your regular measuring tape and do it, but I found that this way it was super simple. Now I just cut the inside one, and we have a rough draft of what's going to go on the inside. And just like that, we have the top side of our plug. And next we need to do the 2 prongs that come out of the actual plug. And I've drawn it right over here. This is 11 inches by 5 1/2 inches. You can make yours longer or shorter, but we're going to cut 2 of these using the same board we just used so we don't waste anything. We're going to cut 2 of these sizes. So for one of the pins, you want to make sure you add some detail to it. So the pin isn't just going to be this rectangle right here. We need to do a little line right here, a little line over here, to make it look like a real Christmas light pin. And then we're using the bottom of a red Solo cup. We're putting it right there on the top area, and we're just outlining the area like this. We're going to cut this area out, we're going to cut these ends out, and then we're going to cut this piece out. Do these details first before you cut the whole thing out so you have some leverage, and that's how you make a realistic pin. To cut out our circle, we're using a spade drill bit. I drilled a hole right here, and now we're going to use our jigsaw to cut out the circle and cut out the other details. All right, we have all our pieces cut, and we're going to start putting all of the screws to attach it together. But before we move on, we need to paint it. I made the mistake of assembling everything before painting it. So as the next clips you're going to see is all of this assembled but unpainted. Don't do that. Stop right now. Grab your wood, and let's use Rust-Oleum primer. We're going to spray all of this. We're going to spray all of this with primer. After it dries, then we can use the paints we're going to use. I'm going to be using this gloss green for this cap right over here for the waste bin, and we only need to paint one side, which is the top side. And on the waste bin, we don't need to paint all the inside, just about 2 inches down, because the rest is going to be covered with this. And then our pins, we're going to be using gold spray paint. We're going to do it both sides, right in here on all the sides. You could also do silver, but I think gold will be nicer. And then once it dries, follow the next steps, which you'll see in the video, which is putting everything together. But don't make the same mistake I did, because I had to disassemble this so we could paint it. Now that we have our pieces, we're going to screw them to the wood board just like this. And we're going to do a pre-drill. So on the bottom here, we're going to do it like this. We're going to use a drill bit to pre-drill a hole and then put the screw in so we do not split the board. Once we have these stuck like that, then we're going to bring our wastebasket, and this is going to go in just like so. Hopefully it doesn't fall down. Just like so. And then we're going to do another pre-drill hole. We'll do one over here and one on this side, and we'll put 2 screws just so we can hold this in place like that. Okay, so we've put 2 screws, and we continue with the pre-drilling right here. And by pre-drilling, like I said, it'll prevent the wood on this side and on this side from splitting. So we'll put another screw over here and another one over here, and we'll be done with this. Perfect, just like this. And now to put 1 screw here and 1 screw here to hold it in place. So a couple of things. In the original video, the creator showed that she used these types of pipe insulations. It was continuous though, and it was not pre-cut. I could not find the continuous pipe insulation or the ones that were not pre-cut, so we're gonna have to make do with this. In her video, she had 24 feet of continuous pipe. Here, we don't have that. So we're going to have to stick them together after we've spray painted them. So right now, we're gonna spray paint all of these green. We're gonna allow them to dry. And then we're going to spray paint the light wire as well. And lastly, we're going to somehow probably tape them together after we put the wire inside. We're going to jerry-rig this as best as we can with the materials that we have, so let's get to it. So this next part is absolutely critical because we are finally putting the insulation pipe around the wire. So we already started here, but let me show you how it's done. This pipe has a self-sealing edge right over here. So if we remove this plastic, it'll seal up again, and that is actually perfect. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna, pretty simple, we're gonna put the wire inside of the pipe, just like this. Bring it over here, nothing too special. Just get the whole wire right on the inside. And then, once we're done doing that, we're going to be able to seal it back up. So 1 second, oops, this one came out. Got it. So just make sure that it's right up to the next one, like this. And then, let me turn this around a little bit for you. Then we're going to remove the plastic, just like that. We're going to have it out like this, and then pushing it together, just like that. Like this, like this. And we'll just continue doing that, making sure that it seals together. Make sure the wire's on the inside. Like this. Just like that. Make sure the wire isn't touching it when you're putting it inside. Like that. Okay, so what about these areas that don't actually seal properly right over here? So what we're gonna do so that this doesn't open, I think I'm gonna put a single little zip tie right around here. It's not necessary really, but just to prevent this from pushing it open, I'll probably do a little zip tie right there. And then over here, we're going to get some hot glue and we're going to push it together. But I think I'm actually gonna have to put a piece of duct tape right over here, which is fine because we can just spray paint it green. So put some hot glue and then wrap it with duct tape so it's one continuous line. And that's all we're gonna do. And this is how we did the first one over here. Super simple to put together. One of the last details we're going to do after we've placed it all together like this is we're going to paint this green. Try not to get any spray paint on the inside over here, but spray paint this green, and this is the perfect time to touch up anything that you damaged while doing it. There's a few spots that need a little bit more spray, and this is what it looks like after we taped the 2 connectors. We put some black duct tape. We put some hot glue on the inside, and now we're just going to spray paint it green, and we'll be done with all of the painting parts. All right, now that we're done spray painting everything and sealing the pipe together, we're going to put our light bulbs. Now, this light strand came with these smaller bulbs. This is 1 watt. I didn't like the light output, so I went with an Edison bulb. It's longer and it has 6 watts, so it puts out a little bit more light than the other one it came with. So we're going to screw it in. Then we're going to get our cups, and our cups are going to go right in there just like this. But before we get to this part over here, we want to do the second strand. So remember, we have another strand of insulation pipes, and these have once again been hot glued together. They've been taped together like this one was, and we are going to strand this just like that, because we wanted to give it that nice strand look. So I'm probably actually going to do the strand before I put the light bulbs in, but I just wanted to show you which light bulbs I had. And then once we finish going like this, then we can put the light bulbs. So remember, we need a total of 8 of these pipes. 4 of them will go with the light strand on the inside, and the other 4 will just be sealed without the actual light strand, because we are going to intertwine the pipes with the light strands with the ones that we put together that don't have a light strand. You see, I still have to spray paint this green. But once we have this, look what I did. I put 4 of them together. We are ready to go. We're going to intertwine them just like you would see a regular Christmas strand lights, and it's super simple. Let me show you. So here's the one with the strand, and here's the one without. So I think I'm going to use some tape, some duct tape right over here, or even a zip tie right over here to hold these together so we can begin the intertwining process. And look at it. This is all we're going to do. We're going to intertwine it just like this so it can look like an actual light strand. Super simple to do, but let's attach this end first. Okay, there we go. We continue to intertwine them just like this. Super simple, super easy. And there we've got it. All right, now we can put in the bulb. We can get our cup. We're going to put it right through. And let's get our hot glue. And remember, we're simply going to hot glue the cup to the foam. And we can put some hot glue on the inside where we see the foam attaching to the cup. So while we're allowing it to dry, I like to put things to hold it in place so that we can move on to the next one. It should take a couple minutes for it to fully dry. Once it dries though, make sure you add extra hot glue on the inside to ensure that it has a nice tight hold. One of the last steps we're going to do is attaching our 2-liter painted bottles to the actual cups. So now that we've applied the hot glue to the cup, we're just going to put the light bulb inside just like this. And then, let me take this out. There's 5 points here on the bottom, 5 high points. We're going to put glue on the high points so it makes contact with the plastic cup. So once we have this in like this, you don't need to do all the high points, but we're just going to take it out like that, put some there, put some here, put some here, and then push it inside just like that, and then hold it in place for about a minute or 2, or get something else to hold it while it dries. Bam. And then we're done with the lights. So because we're working with electrical, plastics, and light bulbs, a lot of people might feel that this is a fire hazard, or we risk melting the bottles because we have light bulbs inside of them. But I'm here to show you that that is not the case. We are using LED light bulbs, not incandescent light bulbs. We're using LED. They produce low to minimum heat. And I'm here with a temperature reader, and right now the floor temp is 66, 67 over here, 66 over there. Let's go to the top of the bottle. The top of the bottle is 71, 72. We go to the middle of the bottle, 75, almost 76. We go right there to the bottom. We have 77, 78, And then on the green, we have 74. The second bottle on the top, we have a 72. We have 74, and right in the bottom, where the most heat would be, we have 79. So these heats aren't intense at all. And if we remove this and we take out the light bulb, it's not hot at all. I left these lights running for almost 5 hours. They've just been here in my garage on for almost 5 hours. And yeah, it is warm to the touch, but nothing that'll burn us. And on the inside of the bottle, it's not even warm. It feels the same as right here on the outside. Nothing is hot. Nothing on the plastic feels like it's melting. Slightly warm over here, but nothing crazy. Just where the light bulb was over here, nothing's melting. Everything is good as long as we use LED light bulbs. All right, so this is our plug here, and we're gonna actually make a hole right on the bottom, nothing too big, so that we can put the two pipe insulations in there just a little bit, maybe glue it with some hot glue to hold it in place so it's not hanging outside. And now we have this hole that we can put the two end pipes in there. There we go. And we'll cut off this little bit of zip tie right here and then touch up any places that need a little bit extra spray paint.